Hey guys, Dave from CADmate, coming to you today to talk about the 12.3 release of Mozaik Software. So the update for 12.3, it's a minor release, yet there's quite a few features jam-packed with new options for you to enjoy. So I wanted to share some of my highlights of the 12.3 update today and just go through a couple of those key things that are changing and how you can take advantage of them when you download the update right away. So let's get into it. First of all, I'll talk about one of the new options, which is the option that appears on the miscellaneous tab of the settings called legs. So there's now a brand new option where you're able to nominate a knock-in style leg. It could be a screw-in style or a knock-in style, but you've got the ability to define your own legs that are now visible in the drawing, which is pretty cool. These are SketchUp models like most other hardware items in Mozaik that you can configure, so you can tailor them to suit the exact style of leg that you use in your business. So the way these appear, if you go into libraries and then down to hardware, you're going to see that there is a new category called legs where you can define the leg. And we're going to supply some of the most popular options in the Australian and New Zealand market, available for download, more on that shortly. And what you'll see here is that you've got the ability to define the size of the leg, also link through to a SketchUp model, define some rules over the positioning of the legs, and then also an operation stamp, which is really cool. So you've got the ability to go in and edit that and decide what operations you would like to be stamped when every single one of those legs appears. And then the really cool thing about that is that you've also got the function to share legs between cabinets, more on that shortly, and the ability to specify a maximum leg separation, giving you the chance to have legs between products as shown on the left of the screen over here. So let's get out of there and press OK and go ahead and just jump into a plan here, and we'll just quickly throw some cabinets in the room. So I'm just going to go to the products tab there and just autofill this room full of cabinets, and we'll take a look at how the legs work. So let's first of all zoom in here, and I'm going to go ahead and change my layer, and on the layers here I'm going to go and change this to a wireframe mode, which will then make the legs visible. So you've got the option whether you want them to be visible, yes or no. And if you're in a wireframe mode and you don't particularly want to see the legs, you can also go to the layers, and you'll now notice in the cabinet field there is now a new field to turn legs on and off. So with that in mind, what I'll show you here is a couple of the key features. So right now I've got the option for sharing legs disabled. I know some of you do decide to share legs to try and cut down on cost and also minimize the amount of hardware that you need to supply. So what you'll see here is I go in and enable the share for adjustable cabinet option and press OK. And you'll see that now that leg shares across one cabinet. So you've got one drill hole that ends up on the left product and then one drill hole that ends up on the right product, giving you then an ability to share those legs between those cabinets. So both cabinets will get drilled, and then you can apply the hardware after the fact. You've also got the ability to nominate when you want this center leg to be enabled. And if we jump back into the hardware option there, what I'll show you is that you can increase or decrease that figure. So if I was to go ahead and say, look, I wanted to increase that to a value of 800 millimeters and press OK, you'll see that now I need a wider cabinet for that to appear. So let's go ahead and delete this product here, and let's go ahead and stretch this one out. And once it reaches over 800 between those legs, it will add the center legs. You've also got the option in libraries and hardware to then go ahead and choose whether you want that to be a single leg in the center of the cabinet. So that also is another neat option. So regardless of which way you build these, you do have the ability to configure them. Really cool as well is that these will work on different shaped products. So let's take a look at what I mean there. I'm going to start a new room, jump into the room tab, go ahead and do a quick room, and I'll put a corner in there, and let's take a look at a corner cabinet. So just before we grab that cabinet, I'm going to go back into my hardware and then default that back to the way I had that at around 500 and uncheck in the centered. I'll also uncheck shared for adjustable cabinets, just so I can show you this corner cabinet where it makes a little bit of sense. So as you can see here, it is adding those extra legs at the back there because of that 500 setting. So that's a personal preference. If you would like to go ahead and disable that, again, you can go ahead and increase that figure and then get that to the amount that you want, whether or not you want to include those legs at the back. You can also manually delete them. You'll also notice that the legs are correctly assigning throughout this corner cabinet as well. So you can go ahead and position more, and you can also copy and paste them as well. So if you go into the product, you'll see each one of these appears as an item in the product editor. So we go ahead and view this in 3D. What I mean by that is you can click on a particular leg, you can press the edit button, you have the ability to move that leg and also rotate that leg. So for example, if I wanted to change its position, let's say I want to change it from left to right and maybe move it further across for whatever reason. Let's go ahead and just move that to 550 and see what happens. As I press OK there, you'll notice that not only the model of the leg moves, but also the drilling moves with that. You can also copy legs as well and delete them. So you've got the full flexibility then to really control legs in a very visual way, but also in a very simplistic way as well. So I think that's going to be quite a nice feature update that's really going to help anyone that's using adjustable feet or adjustable legs in their business. You'll also notice that if you go to the pricing tab and run a quote or a pricing template, that the legs will then be visible in that option as well. So because they're now a hardware item, so what you may need to do, depending on your template, is go ahead and update your template. So you go into your template editor and then find your quoting template that you're currently using, go into the pricing items, and legs is now available as a pricing item. So I'm going to go ahead and include this on my pricing, go ahead and press OK, and then rerun that template. And what you'll see now is that the legs will appear as a hardware item and they'll get priced in. Of course, you do need to assign what you pay for that leg. So in the libraries hardware option, you can go ahead and assign a cost, markup, and add-on figure for that particular leg. As I mentioned, there's different types of legs available as well. As usual with Mozaik, there's an option to just click the question mark there, and that's going to launch a PDF, which is going to run through different options for you. So there's definitely some content there that could be useful. You'll also notice that there are some help videos that will be released alongside this, so that way you can obtain some information about how you could implement this in your business right away. Now there are quite a few different legs available, and they are available to download from the new import updated data. So if you go to tools and click on import updated data, you're going to find that it says downloading catalog as soon as you do that. Now this may take a minute or two depending on the first time you do this, as it's sort of downloading a lot of data in the background from an online website. So it's pulling this data down from the cloud and then making it available for you to import into Mozaik. So one of the really neat features about this is it allows us to update this in real time and not just with releases or updates that come out when you download them, which means that if we add something else in as an available choice, we can add that, push that to the cloud, and then have that available for download for you right away. That really gives us the functionality moving forward to better enhance what we share and what we provide in these updates. So looking at this then, if you come down to the new legs category, you're going to see a bunch of different legs available in this download option. So you've got plenty to choose from that you could implement straight away and put straight into your business. So feel free to already have a look at that. Which might lead me on to the next available thing to talk about here, which would be the joint fastener update. So in tools, import updated data, and we come down to joint fasteners or fasteners, you're going to find a few new choices in here as well. So you're going to see some of these type listed as custom. So there's a brand new type of fastener that's been created and defined as a custom fastener, which now allows you to combine a stamp type operation, which means you can add drilling, routing, toolpathing, pocketing, whatever you need really to be able to define a particular type of operation and then repeat that operation in a really neat format. So previously limited to 4 fasteners per edge. Now that limitation has been removed. So now you'll see that you can actually set quite a smart array function up, which we'll take a look at shortly. I just wanted to point out that Mozaik's done a lot of the hard work for you here, because there are some options that you can go ahead and import straight in, like the Lamello Cabineo 12 flush cover or flush option, meaning that you're recessing them down flush, or you're recessing them down flush with the cover cap on. So some nice options in there ready to go out of the box where you can just import straight into your system. So this is quite a really nice new function. This function's been there, but the function for this to now live in the cloud and allows us to update, and this is going to continue to be improved and enhanced over time as well. So this is just sort of step one of this, this new import updated function. Now, coming out of there for a second, I will also mention that you'll see that the draw guides and hinges and things like that are now available in here as well. So you'll see that for the ones that we've shared in the Australian and New Zealand market from our team at CADmate here, we've listed out the AUS NZ suffix on the end of that. So If you go ahead and just search for any of those or look through the list, and you'll see all the ones that we've provided that are designed specifically for the specs for the Australian and New Zealand market. We'll have that little tagline on the end there, so you can go through and look for them. If you're in our region and our market, then that's the perfect option. You can scroll through them. Now, we're going to be keeping those up to date, which means that, if someone comes back to us with some feedback and says, hey, these particular runners need some adjustment, or the holes need to move slightly, or whatever it is, we can update them, push them to the cloud in real time, and then allow you to download them as well. So first step should always be then going to Tools, Import Updated Data, and making sure you're using the latest version of these things. Of course, there's no need to update things that are already working in your business, but if you find that you're using a particular runner and it's not working for you, you might want to consider updating this before doing anything else. Now, that brings me also to one of the other things that have been updated in this release, which are the hinges. So with the hinges, there's a brand new way of defining an advanced style of hinge, and different ways where that can implement and work within a cabinet. So we'll look at those two things next. So let's jump out of the import updated data for a second, and we're going to go into libraries, and then we're going to come down to hardware. And I'm going to jump across to the fasteners tab. So we're going to jump into joint templates and take a look at how the new joint templates work. So if we drop down the fastener category here, and then we start by looking at maybe one of those Cabineo options. So what you'll notice is, let's take a look at the Lamello 12 flush option. So what you can see here, this looks a little bit different. The fastener type is set to custom, which then gives you the ability to define operations on a stamp. Incredibly powerful, but also very simplistic as well. So it's the right balance, as most things in Mozaik are, between flexibility and simplicity. Let's jump into mail ops here and take a look at this. So what we're looking at here, there is 3 holes to drill the Cabineo connector out. And then there is also a pocket that has been defined. And a brand new update too allows you to define a dado tool rather than nominating a specific tool. You can choose now the option to use a dado tool, which will then make sure that it's just looking at your tool set and choosing whichever available dado tool will fit that particular operation. Takes the guesswork out of it, and also takes the stress away from knowing which tool to select. Now, of course, you can run tests on these things, but they are defined by the specs. You might find that you want to make that slightly deeper or shallower depending on the result, but I would definitely recommend running a test on a fastener, making sure that the fastener finishes nice and flush and that you're happy with that outcome. But the really cool thing is that now gets repeated. So what we're looking at here when we're looking at the stamp, that crosshair indicates, I guess, where the location of that particular operation is set to. And if we have a look at that, you'll come down to this list here, and you'll notice the list has been expanded. So there's now more choices, including frame components, drawer boxes, and miscellaneous components. Miscellaneous components will include things like your nailers, sleepers, toe components, and panels, which leads me to another brand new part that has been defined in Mozaik. More on that shortly. And then coming down to drawer boxes, you'll see that you've got the ability to define operations like these Lamello Cabineos on drawer box components now as well, which is really cool. Frame components, as I mentioned, and then coming back to some sort of standard ones, like let's look at the connection between the bottom of the cabinet and the end of a cabinet. So you've still got the ability there to set your setback in from the front and the rear, but also a max separation. So what you'll see here is that you can do the regular fixed method that you've known and been used to in Mozaik, but now the brand new function of adding an array where you can just tell us, where do you want your first one, where do you want your last one, and then how far between them. Let us take care of the guesswork out of it. Let us take care of the formulas and equations that go in behind the scenes to make that possible. I'm going to have a look at how that works on a screw template. So I'm going to drop this down and show you one of the Australian New Zealand screw templates that we've provided here. We've got 2 options, a 3mm hole and a 5mm hole. That's really easily changed just by changing the drill diameter, but nevertheless, we're trying to make it as easy as we can by adding those options in there. So when we look at this connection between, say, the bottom and the end, you'll notice that these have the pale blue kind of highlight to indicate that a formula is overriding those settings. So we've just taken it a little bit step further there, and in the formula defined a couple of rules to say, okay, well, if the joint length, and that's another new function there, is the ability to now define joint L as a parameter, rather than calling up part width or part length, we can now define joint length, which just dynamically looks up the length of that particular joint again, simplifying the process and really improving the overall result. So what we're seeing here is that we've got 200 to 80. So between a joint length of 80 millimeters and 200 millimeters, I want that hole spaced at 25 millimeters in from the edge. My standard's going to be 50, but when it drops below 200 and it's bigger than 80, I'm going to bump it into 25. When I go below 80, but I'm still above 50 millimeters, I want to bump that into 15 millimeters in from the edge. And then when I go below 50 millimeters in overall joint length, I want to put that joint in the center of the 50 millimeters or whatever size it is. So where that becomes really flexible is in relation to changing sizes of products, and I'll come to that now. So let's have a look at the max separation in conjunction with these two settings. So let's jump out of there and we'll go ahead and look at products, and let's just make sure first of all that we've got the fasteners set to that particular option. Okay, so dropping the menu down here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've nominated that particular one that I was showing you. And now let's just go ahead and look at a wall cabinet. I think that's a really good example of where this is super useful. Imagine looking at this now and we go ahead and break this into perspective mode and we'll take a look at these screws, and let's just look at this in field mode so it's really clear. So what we're seeing here is that we're 50 millimeters in from the edges, and dynamically it's adding those two middle holes. As this product gets taller, it's going to add more holes. As it gets shorter, it's going to reduce them. So let's go ahead and just make this like a really tall product, for example. And then what you'll see there is that we're now increasing this. So previously where we were limited to only 4 operations per edge, now it's dynamic. It's as many as you need it to be because it's based on that spacing that you're telling Mozaik. So I wanted a hole every 250 millimeters. So what it's doing there, it's figuring, okay, 50 mil in, every 250, I want a screw hole. And that's really giving me the best of both worlds there. Now, what I was coming to there with the option to define some formulas around the depth is that as you decrease the size of this product, that becomes super useful. So let's have a look at this if we will make it like quite a shallow product. So now what we've done here is that we've moved these holes 25 millimeters in from the edge. Watch what happens as I continue to further reduce the depth there. So let's go down and make this 100 millimeters deep. Okay, so we're shrinking further in and getting closer to the edge here. So let's maybe just bump that down a little bit further. Let's go to 80. So now I'm 15 millimeters in from the edge as opposed to the 25. And then let's drop this down again. Let's go to 60. And now I've just got the one hole in the center of the edges there. So as you can see, the ability to define these things based on joint length and the max separation, it's just making the fasteners now incredibly flexible and powerful and really simple. So takes the need out for having lots of different fastener templates. It can all be done from the one template now. And I think that's just a huge step forward. Coming back to that as well, just to point something else out, you would have noticed when I was looking at that particular Cabineo connector that there's now female operations, which means I can define operations that are also going into the edge of components as well. So coming soon in a update early next year, we're hoping to see enhancements in the optimizer that will allow us to be able to control vertical flow-through boring machines, point-to-point machines, and have horizontal operations. So, all of those things are really around the redesign and reconstruction of these joint templates. So I think these are going to be incredibly useful, and the enhancements of being able to apply these to drawbox components as well is a massive step forward as well. So I really think everyone's going to really enjoy those things. And as I mentioned, you can download these ones that I'm showing you in the video straight from the tools import updated data as well, and you take use of them straight away. Okay, so coming out of there then, let's jump in and take a look at the new hinge options. So as you'll know, you've still got the ability in the settings to define your hinges, but what's changed behind the scenes is the way those hinges are created. You'll still be able to use the same hinge schedules that you've always used. We haven't taken anything away there, but we've added a new option called Advanced. So what you'll see, the standard option still exists. So if I add a brand new one here, and I'm just going to give this a random name for a second, you can still define that as standard and have the exact same template that you're used to, or you can go to Advanced and use the new method. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you what that looks like right now. So let's look at a common hinge here, the Blum Motion clip top hinge. Now, we've provided these for the Australian New Zealand market. Again, these things are slightly different all around the world, but similarities throughout. So feel free to use this with whether you're in this market or you're in a different market or a different region. Again, just do your sort of homework to see if this is going to be suitable for your region. Now, what's changed here is that we've got the ability to define hinge types. So let's click edit here. And what you'll see is that we're now stamping the operations, which gives us a lot of flexibility because it's also showing us the door operations there that we can control, but the cabinet operations. And where this can be really useful is, you might want to actually to say, well, look, I want to put a screw hole right between the hinge operations for where I want to join my cabinet. So that way, when I put my hinge on, my screw hole for joining my cabinets has been hidden. Cool. You can go ahead and do that now. So you can go to bore operation, and then you can choose where you want it. So you might want to say, look, a certain distance back. So you might want to say, look, like 50 millimeters back from the edge, and right on that center line, I want to drill a 5 millimeter hole, and I want it to go all the way through. So to get it all the way through, you can click the little calculator button there, and then you could say part TH. So you could dynamically reference the part thickness. Sorry, I've mistyped that. Let's go spell that correctly. So part TH and press test, and then you'll see that that comes up okay. Or you could reference the unfinished end thickness or the finished end thickness, whatever you'd like. But you've got options there to define that how you please. And then that's now an operation that's going to be between every hinge mounting plate hole where you might want to join the products together. You might want to do a 3 millimeter hole, or it might be the cabinet join-in sleeves. However it is, that there's options there now for you to define that. So, I just wanted to point out where the stamp operation could be useful in different ways. And again, we've still gone with this fixed method versus the array. And this is pretty cool because you could go to the fixed option and tell us, okay, well, if you use like a Blum hinge press or a hinge drilling machine, right, you might want to define specific distances based on the sticks, right, on the reference stops. So for example, you might want to go click, I need to add another one, and you can reference that from the top and bottom or from the center. So you can go off the center of the door if you please, or you could say, look, from the top and bottom, my second one is at 600. Okay, and then you could say only for doors greater than a certain size. So obviously, you'd only want that for doors maybe greater than 700 or 800, whatever it is. So you could define when that happens. And again, there is a little calculator button to get in and define a formula too. So you could expand on that. But it's pretty cool because you can really define if you're using that particular type of machinery to manufacture these things, then you've got the ability to do that straight out of the box now. Coming into the array function, you'll see that on the array function, we've got the setback from top, setback from bottom, and then max separation. So we're no longer limited to the automation of 3 and then turning on the 4, 5, 6 hinge. You've got the ability to specify your separation and just allow Mozaik to take care of it. As the door grows, extra hinges appear. Really simple, super easy. And the other part of that is that you've got the ability to define the hinge subtype, a brand new option in Mozaik. So the subtype there is the difference between like an overlay hinge, a half overlay hinge, an inset hinge, corner 90, corner angled, bifold, inline, blind corner offset. Again, all new subtypes that you can control and that allow Mozaik to control where these things are going to be placed. Kind of like a draw guide schedule, you could add as many of these as you need, and then you can tick on the ones that you use. So looking at this schedule, right, I might use the 110 degree, or you might decide, look, I actually use the 107. So I might say, look, no, use them. Again, they're still overlay hinges, and now Mozaik's going to use this particular one as opposed to this one. So you can define which one you want auto selected, but you can still go in and override these things. So we've added the common things in here, things like the zero protrusion hinges, the 125s, the 155s, the 107s and the 95s. For example, they're all still overlay hinges, but it's just the ability for you to get A, the pricing of these things right, and B, the specification. So you know how many of these you need to order. So you can override these on a cabinet, on a door, if need be. Coming then to the type of operation, this is a big step forward that it's automatically finding the right hinge to apply. So in this situation, Mozaik now understands that that's a corner 90 and it's going to apply the corner 90 hinge automatically to those doors, which is a big step forward. So we have a look there and we jump in and we go to overrides. You'll see there, straight out of the box there, we're still using that Blum clip top schedule, but we're using the bifold door hinge now. Okay, so it's automatically applied the right one. And then as you have a look at the wireframe mode here, these are being drilled with that schedule straight out of the box. No enhancements, nothing changed. And you can go ahead and change that door style to whatever you like, and it's still going to apply that same hinge. The hardware is going to be accounted for. The hardware is going to be priced. Again, a very nice addition, this one, and I think that's one that's going to make a lot of people happy. So pretty cool option there for sure. And just to I guess expand on that, let's take a look at this product. I might make this deeper again and just jump in here and show you a couple of things. So out of the box, obviously, if I split the door here and then I click on this, and let's make this a left hinge door. Let's watch what happens. Let's jump in, and what we'll see here straight away is it's recognizing that this needs to be a different type of hinge, and it's applying a hinge based on what you've got in your schedule. And that doesn't have to be necessarily this blind style of hinge. It could be a butterfly cup hinge. You can define it. So you can define what operations you want there. What type of hinge do you use when you join a door to another door, or a door to a panel? Which leads me to my next point, talking about the new subtype in Mozaik for a panel. So let's click on this option here. Let's go ahead and make this a panel. And then let's take a look at the new subtype that appears. So we'll jump into the adjust function. And in the adjust function, you'll see now under the reveal adjustments, there's a brand new option called sub panel. And what you'll see there is that now you've got panel reveal adjustments and sub panel reveal adjustments. What that means is that now you can define that you place a sub panel behind a panel, meaning that might be like this is your color panel, and then behind that, and let's just look at this from a top perspective, might be the clearest way to show this, or maybe even a side perspective. So behind that external panel, we now have a sub panel that is inside of the cabinet. A lot of people build blind corner cabinets this way, where they might want a panel inside that they either use, maybe they still hinge off the outside panel, maybe they reduce that other panel. That's hence the adjustment. So if we go back into the adjust function there and we go to the sub panel reveal adjustments, let's say on the right here, we're going to go like, I don't know, -100 just to show something nice and visual here, and jump back in. What you'll see is that my sub panel has shot back 100 millimeters. Okay, so that's why you've got that option. If you have that panel out there, then you can apply, I think you would have saw just a moment ago, and I'll just jump back in to the hinge setup there and show you those different types. If we jump back in there and have a look at the different type of hinges that we've got in here, and of course it just requires you to have these in the schedule. We didn't want to add every single hinge. We wanted to kind of keep this to the most usable common ones, but you can enhance this and change this to whatever you please. But having a look there, you've got your blind corner hinges, but also the blind corner offset hinges, meaning that it's going to pick up the sub panel. So if you do drill into the sub panel and not the visual panel, then you can have blind corner offset hinges. And I didn't want this to turn into a full-blown training video. I've already been talking for quite a while, but I do just want to bring some of these highlights and talk about the reasons why you should just go ahead and update to 12.3 and take advantage of all this amazing new functionality right away. Because I think there's too many good things here for you to stay on 12.2 or prior versions. There's so many great things here that just, a reason enough to jump forward and start using this straight away. So hinges, obviously big changes there, and big improvements, because it's just given the ability to now automatically drill blind corner cabinets, automatically drill corner cabinets, automatically drill bifolding doors, and just give you the flexibility to change and have sub panels on or off. So big improvements in hinges, no doubt. Going back to the drawer boxes for a moment there, I'll just open a drawer box to just point out that when you're in a drawer box, so whichever type of drawer box you're using, you do have the ability to go to a fasteners tab now and then pick up the fastener. So if you want to cabinet these together, you can go ahead and grab one of the cabinet options. If you want to Clammex them together, or if you want to cam them together, however you do them, you can now assign which joint fastener you want to apply there. So pretty cool that you've got that option to just go ahead and nominate that. There's also some improvements and enhancements to the drawer guides as well. So if we jump into hardware and we take a look at guides, and let's have a look at, say, let's go into the Antaro option here and just take a look at one of these runners and go into edit here. So you do have the option to go to the, let's see, you do have an option now on the front boring to say that you want to bore into the tray face, okay, or tray front. These two are brand new options, which means that now you've got the ability, if you're using this as an inner drawer and you put a front over it, automatically these operations are going to go into the tray front now. If you tick that option, which is fantastic, because it just means that out of the box, there's no need to have separate operations on your tray fronts or on your internal drawer fronts. It will be straight away taken from the hardware library and from these drawer guides. So really cool option there, and more on that in a separate training video. Also, some other enhancements in here in terms of tray guides or drawer guides altogether. You'll notice that if I was just to add a brand new one here, and I can give this some sort of random name and go ahead and nominate what type of option this is, you do have the standard or advanced for side mount runners now. So you can still use the standard method that you've known and loved, but you can go to advanced and then treat this kind of like what we're now calling a specialty guide editor. So it gives you the ability to go through and reference side boring holes, box boring holes, spaces, and also link through fasteners, which gives you the ability to do lockdowns and all sorts of things. So side boring operation, pretty cool too, means that you're drilling into the side of the product, but the box boring means that you're drilling into the side of the box, side of the drawer box, which now gives you the ability to drill not just the side of the cabinet, but also the side of the box, making sure everything goes together really nice and uniform and in line. So great option there. Again, it is broken down between this kind of new thing that you're seeing to start evolving in different places. We're keeping the legacy kind of standard methods. We don't want to call them legacy because I think legacy has the connotation that they're going to disappear. That's the standard method. That's the standard method that we've all known and loved for quite a long time. But now a new advanced method for the people that are wanting that bit more functionality to really push the boundaries there. We're bringing that into Mozaik and giving that to you in an advanced format. So as you can see, a lot of new things here in this 12.3 update to get excited about. There are some other minor enhancements that made its way into 12.3 as well. But again, I've already spoken for quite a long time in this video, and I didn't want to take too long or too much of your time, as I know everyone's so busy this time of year. But I'm excited about this update. I really think it's going to be quite an impressive update, especially for a minor update. And that's the thing you have to remember here. Major version updates are full numbers. So we'll expect to see a major version released to version 13 next year. Right now, this is the 12.3 update. And in a minor release, this is an incredible amount of new functionality packed into that release. Almost justified a major release on its own. But again, these things you guys have requested. I know personally a lot of these things in there have come from customers that have reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love to see these things. The entire team at Mozaik works tirelessly on these things, and we communicate every day on in these improvements, spitballing ideas, brainstorming how we can improve the program and really take it to the next level. So hopefully you can see from this video that things are moving forward in the right direction, and Mozaik's improving at such a rapid rate. I really hope that you are able to download the 12.3 update and take advantage of that. One last thing before I go, I will point out that we are moving away from the version numbering on our library. So we are now just calling it the CADmate library or CADmate library. We're not going to be putting like a V12, V13, V12.3 or anything like that. And part of the reason for that is we'll start to see some improvements to that import updated data where we're able to push library updates through as well as optional updates. But at the moment that's still in the works and coming, but we wanted to preempt that by releasing the standard CADmate library update, which you're welcome to download. We've also come up with a brand new way for you to implement that by making it far easier than ever before. So to show you a little preview of that, I'm going to go ahead and close Mozaik and exit out of there. And what you'll notice that we can provide you now a download link that will be packaged up as an executable. You simply just need to double click on that executable to run that exe, which will then allow you to go ahead and run this through just like a regular Mozaik update. So this will look and feel exactly like a Mozaik update. You go ahead and click next through the menu, choose that you want to go ahead and install that Mozaik update to your location. So you can go ahead and choose like where, in case you've moved your data elsewhere on your computer, you can choose to move this to follow where your data is shared or your file path is set to, go ahead and press next through the menus and let the installer take care of everything. So, what we've taken on board your feedback from previous library updates where it's been too time consuming or, too challenging to achieve. We've taken kind of what was previously like a 30-minute process and brought that right down to just a simple executable that you can run and install. So plenty of changes both on the Mozaik and CADmate side. We're excited to bring this to you, and we're looking forward to a big year next year. We've got some really exciting features coming in 2024. Thank you for all your support, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas break and a happy holidays and all the best for 2024. Thank you.